Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session for Wednesday, February 17th, 2021, 3:04 p.m. My name is Ty Manter, Chair of the Board. We have Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards and Commissioner Carolina Mejia, as well as County Manager Ramiro Chavez, Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, County Auditor Mary Hall, and several members of her team. They're going to go over today's topic with us, which is the 2021 Precinct Maintenance Plan. For public attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel or join by conference call at 360-252-9020, pin 1234. Ramiro, we have 25 minutes remaining for this presentation.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take more than that. But Commissioner, this related to the item on the agenda that you review for next week, where you might be considering setting a public hearing for some revisions related to some precincts as a result of some of the maintenance efforts the county auditor goes through it. So as I stated yesterday, there was going to be a briefing, which is today, for the county auditor and her staff to give you additional information as to what those changes are, so you are well informed before you consider taking an action on setting the public hearing next Tuesday. Mary?
So first, I'd like to introduce my staff. As you can see on screen, Lynn Watanabe has taken Tony's place, got a promotion, so she will be the one that doing the presentation explaining the precincts. I also have Lynette Milton, Tilly Naputi-Puller, my elections manager, and Tony Wicki, and Diana Benson from my staff on the call as well. First, I just want to explain the difference between redistricting and precinct maintenance. Redistricting we do every 10 years based on the decennial census to equalize all of the population across the districts. But annually, we are required to do precinct maintenance. And what drives that are a couple factors. City annexation. So when cities annex land, we have rules that we have to follow in state law. Precincts can't cross city boundaries. So we have to adjust our precincts. And we also have a precinct size limit of 1,500 voters. So when we start approaching that 1,500 level, we also need to split precincts, and we'll either have it become their own precinct, or we'll merge them with an adjoining precinct, whatever seems to be the cleanest and creates the best precincts. So when we do this, we're also required to modify the legal description. So you might hear that we're modifying the legal description on Commissioner District X, but we're not really changing lines at all. Those lines are set in stone for 10 years. All we're doing is modifying the legal descriptions, because legal descriptions follow precinct lines. So do you have any questions about that?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, great. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Lynn, who has a PowerPoint presentation, and she'll actually take you through the changes that we need to make to our precinct boundaries.
Thank you, Mary. So. Everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I did it in a PDF version. It might be easier to navigate than a PowerPoint. So this is our 2021 Precinct Maintenance Plan. As an overview, we currently have 284 precincts. And in accordance with RCW 29A 16040, no changes can be made 14 days prior to the first day of filing week for the primary election, and no precinct may exceed 1,500 active registered voters. Also, in accordance with RCW 29A 16050, every precinct must be wholly within a single congressional district, a single legislative district, a single district of county legislative authority, and city. And every voting precinct must be composed as nearly as practical of contiguous and compact areas. So for the 2021 Precinct Maintenance Plan, we have 2 City of Lacey annexations, and then 4 adjustments due to the number of active voters nearing 1,500. And so we'll go through each of those 6 precincts. So the first one is the City of Lacey annexation on Mullen Road. The Glen Terra precinct, there's approximately 224 voters. Lacey 17, which is right next to it, has approximately 781 voters, and the annexed area has approximately 3 voters. And so the area outlined in the dotted line is the area that got annexed. So we propose moving the annexed portion of Glen Terra to Lacey 17. And so this is what it would look like afterwards. And the new voter total for Glen Terra would be 221 voters, and the new voter total for Lacey 17 would be 784 voters. Questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
There were 2 different areas there, the annexed area and the area next to it, and I didn't understand the difference.
Oh,
The previous
So I'm gonna
slide.
go back a slide. No, that's okay. So the whole area in green is currently what Glen Terra is, and the area outlined by the dotted line is what got annexed.
So the other half, the right half of the green is still gonna stay outside because it's not in the city of Lacey still.
Correct.
Okay, got it. What does Glen Terra mean? What is that?
The name of the development, name of the development.
But there's no development there. It's just like a proposed future development.
Well, there's a Glen Terra Drive that kind of runs through it. So a lot of the precincts are kind of named by the areas that it's around.
But Lacey, I guess I'm struggling with if that's a cohesive development, why did Lacey just annex the piece that doesn't have any houses in it? You split it in half. Is it?
The area that they annexed was, I think, about 3 parcels. It includes a fire station
Oh yeah,
and some undeveloped land. Yeah.
I remember that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I'm not really understanding the numbers. So you're saying the Glen Terra has approximately 224 voters, right?
Yes.
And then Lacey 17 currently has 781.
Yes.
And then the annexed area has 3.
Yes. So 3
So for the new total voters, so you're just going to combine Glen Terra and the annexed area? Or are they all going to be going into Lacey 17?
So the 3 voters are currently in Glen Terra, and they're within that annexed area. So they're going to be moved from Glen Terra into Lacey 17.
And what would the new voter total for that be?
For Glen Terra, it would be 221, and for Lacey 17, it would be 784. So Glen Terra would lose 3 voters, and Lacey 17 would gain 3 voters.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Thank you.
So essentially, they just annexed a bunch of vacant land into the city of Lacey.
Thank you.
I'm sorry again. Glen Terra is a precinct name or it's a development name?
It's a precinct name.
I asked what it was and somebody said it's a development, but now you're saying it's a precinct.
Yeah, it's the name of the precincts. A lot of the times the names of the precincts are, they can be like the development or, if it's around a lake or.
Yeah, I think it's one of the same in this case, Commissioner.
Well, it was, but now it's not because
Well,
half of it is in Lacey 17.
Well, yeah, the precinct name, yeah, but the development may spill over into the development itself.
But the reason it's labeled on the map that we were shown is because it was a precinct name.
Yeah, precinct name, yeah.
Got it.
And may I ask a question?
Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you. So the voters in the annexed area need to be moved because once the annexation happened, then the Glen Terra precinct wasn't all within a single boundary. Is that correct? You've got to move them because it doesn't meet those criteria.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
because Glen Terra is still unincorporated Thurston County, correct, Glenn? Where they took a big chunk of that development, which was yet to be developed, and moved it into the city of Lacey. So that big chunk of land that they annexed is now in Lacey 17. So we basically had to split the Glen Terra precinct based on what the city took from that precinct and moved into the city.
Yes,
Right.
because a precinct cannot split a city limit.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
Glen Terra, typically county precincts have names, like I'm in Lake St. Clair, or St. Clair 116. City precincts tend to be the name and a number.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move forward.
Okay.
And just for the record, Commissioner Edwards had to leave the meeting, so.
Okay. So the next item is the City of Lacey annexation. It was called the Serenity Carpenter Road annexation. So Kenwood has approximately 708 voters, and Lacey number 33 has approximately 534 voters, and the annexed area has approximately 2 voters in it. So again, the area outlined in green is Kenwood, and the area outlined in red is Lacey 33, and the area outlined with the dotted line is the annexed area. So moving that annexed area of Kenwood into Lacey 33. So the new voter total for Kenwood would be 706, and the new voter total for Lacey 33 would be 536. Questions?
Commissioner Mejia, anything?
No, I'm starting to understand.
Yeah, comes together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It is a puzzle.
So now we move to the non-annexation portion. So Mushroom Corner has about 1,474 voters, and Deerbrush has approximately 586 voters. And so we're proposing to move approximately 320 voters out of Mushroom Corner into Deerbrush because it's approaching that 1,500 voter mark. So this is what we're proposing. Mushroom Corner is outlined in green. Deerbrush is outlined in red. And we're proposing that Deerbrush absorb the area east of the section line as illustrated. So that area outlined by the dotted lines. So the new voter total for Mushroom Corner would be 1,154. And the new voter total for Deerbrush would be 906. Questions?
Just jump in, Commissioner, if you have anything.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Just keep on going.
All right. The next one is Olympia 35, which has approximately 1,456 voters. And Olympia 25, which has approximately 408 voters. We're proposing to move about 472 voters from Olympia 35 into Olympia 25. So the area outlined in green is Olympia 35. The area outlined in red is Olympia 25. And we're proposing that dotted line. So Olympia 25 would absorb the area west of Henderson Boulevard, which is that dotted area. And so the new voter total for Olympia 35 would be 984. And the new voter total for Olympia 25 would be 880.
Okay.
All right. The next area is Lacey 29, which has about 1,473 voters. And Lacey 31 has approximately 734 voters. And we're proposing to move about 280 voters from Lacey 29 to Lacey 31. So area outlined in green is Lacey 29. Area outlined in red is Lacey 31. And the dotted area is where we would move voters from Lacey 29 into Lacey 31. And it is an apartment complex, which is why we chose those parcels. The new voter total for Lacey 29 would be 1,193, and the new voter total for Lacey 31 is 1,014. And the last area is Lacey 54, which has about 1,470 voters. And we're proposing to split this precinct. So approximately 709 voters would be moved into a new precinct, a newly created precinct. So we're proposing to split Lacey 54, which is the entire precinct in green, east and west along Gateway Boulevard. And so the new precinct would be the area dotted in the orange, and that would be Lacey 55, and Lacey 54 would be reformed from the eastern area. So the new voter total for Lacey 54 would be 761. The new voter total for Lacey 55 would be 709. And this is a precinct that we just created last year because we had to split it from something else. And there's been a bunch of development out there. So our proposed results is to have a 2021 precinct count of 285. Approximate voters affected, 1,786, which is about 0.89%. Voting precincts added, 1. Legal descriptions added, 1. Precinct boundary adjustments, 11. And then precinct legal descriptions amended, 10. And then commissioner legal descriptions amended is 1. And the legal description for commissioner districts is just a list of precincts. So we would just have to add Lacey 55 to the commissioner district legal. So there is no boundary change and there is no total voter change. And that's the end of my presentation. You guys have any questions?
Anything? Camaro, Commissioner here?
No, my questions got
No, sir.
answered with the proposed results.
Yeah, it's pretty clear once you get into it. It's redistricting where I can try to get my chunk of West Olympia back. My district. Right. It'll happen next year or at the end of this year.
Yeah, the commissioner districts, the redistricting, yeah, this exercise will occur after we get the the census data, which I informed the board yesterday. They will not get that data until September of this year. That will put a very, very tight timeline. I know there is a couple of legislative pieces of legislation up for consideration right now. They will give us some flexibility related to that. We extended the deadline. But it's going to be a fast-moving train, in my opinion. And
Yes.
go ahead.
Mary, you said Sam Hunt's bill is going to move the date to November 15th. What is that? What is the current deadline?
Interesting you bring that up. I'm actually trying to get an appointment with him because in our legislative call today and our meeting with the cities and counties on Monday, we're actually going to ask that they either move the effective date out into 2022. So that would not align the deadlines with November 15th. So, you know, we could possibly go until December, for example, getting the boundaries adjusted, or you would have a little more time. So we're actually either going to ask that we kill the bill for this year, or they move the effective date further. So in this redistricting cycle, you won't have the November 15th deadline. That would only be the state.
So that's a bill to move the deadline forward. Closer.
Yeah, basically there would be no deadline because what this bill is trying to do is align all the districts to have the same length of time for redistricting. So this would give cities, school districts, county councils, county commissioners a little more time to get the job done. And I have a meeting right after this to talk about, with geodata to figure out how in the heck we can do it in such a condensed timeline In my opinion, this is a real crisis, not having that data now, because typically you would have had it in January. So.
Is this just like, is there a specific explanation for this huge delay? I mean, I know COVID, is it just like, oh, COVID stopped the census people from, I mean, what is it that we're hearing as the reason?
No, it's more than that. It's what would be included in the count and what wouldn't be included in the count based on the last directive from the prior administration. So they're reworking all of the data to make it inclusive as outlined in the Constitution, constitutional requirements.
Okay, got it. Anything else we need to accomplish today?
No, sir. This is just a briefing, just to ensure that you have all that information that you need before you consider taking an action to set a public hearing for the public to comment on what you were briefed on today.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out that there are no precinct committee officers affected by any of these moves.
You mean because they're unfilled positions?
Pardon me?
Because they're unfilled positions? Is that?
No, just the way the boundaries fell. So,
Oh, I mean, you mean the actual, where the actual PCO is.
right. So we
Okay.
didn't move anybody out of a precinct or combine, pieces of land that both had a precinct committee officer. Not that legally we're not supposed to take that into consideration, but
This worked out that way.
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, anything for Commissioner Mejia? Mira, we're good?
No, this was great. Thank you.
I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And we'll be adjourned for today.
Good job.
Great job,
Thank you.
Lynn.
Good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Thank you.
Bye.